Hey everybody, how are you? Hope you are well. So today I'm going to talk about how society keeps you poor and what you can do about it. So I'm going to make it brief, but I'm going to go into history and explain. So as you can see, I am a Black woman. So what keeps society poor? Number one, 400 years of slavery. So slavery stripped Black people of their wealth. So while you're a slave and you have zero wealth, people over here are still building and they still have their families. Their families are together. Here, your slavery, your wealth is stripped, and all your family members are you are separated. You're all over the place, right? So 400 years of slavery. Okay, redlining. Redlining came. So what is redlining? Redlining means if you live, so you put a red line here, and if you live in this area, you're not getting a loan for a home. So you know that having a home is one of the cornerstones of wealth, right? So the practice of redlining, you cannot have a loan for a home. So that's number two. Then came Jim Crow. So what is Jim Crow? Jim Crow is when Black people were treated like second class citizens. It suppressed economic gains of Black people. Okay, so all of this is going on. Then you have discrimination in the housing market. What happens is HUD and the government, they spend 4 times as much money in white areas. They overinvest in white areas and disinvest in other areas. So the Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968 after the assassination of MLK. So it was very well known that discrimination is happening in the housing market. So well known that an actual act had to be passed to block it, called the Fair Housing Act in 1968. So just so you're aware, discrimination is still there. All right. But they had to pass an act called the Fair Housing Act 1968. Okay, fast forward. So we have the school system. So no information about finances is intentionally not in the school system. Okay. Now we have the banking system. So people are denied funding. So some people can get funding, more funding, where other people are being denied. So the access to funding is different. Okay. We're going to move into the employment sector. So they won't hire you. Okay. If you are hired, they won't promote you. All right. Now we're going to move over to the prison system. We have mass incarceration of Black men. So what does this do? So if you're incarcerated, you do not have any money because you're incarcerated. Also, it helps to further destroy the Black family. So you cannot be in the household as the king of the house if you are in prison or in jail. So what strengthens wealth? Unity strengthens wealth. Families strengthens wealth. So the further destruction of the Black family. Okay. What else do we have? So we have rap music. What does rap music do? Does rap music, it disrespects Black women. It encourages violence against your own people, and encourages that you will not commit to Black women because you don't respect them. All right? We have all of these things working together. So, why are the poor getting poorer and the rich getting richer? So, you know, now we are in a time of inflation. All right? So, what happens with inflation? When you own property, rents are going up, the value of your home is going up. So, say you have a $100,000 house. So, in this time of inflation, the value of your home is going up. It used to be worth $100,000. Now your home is worth $300,000. So the rich is getting richer. You may not only own one, maybe you own 10, maybe you own 20. All of this is going up. The rich is getting richer. Because of inflation, you have appreciation, you have the increase in rent. However, on the poor side, what is happening? You live in a poorer area and you're in a home, you own a home, but your home is not appreciating, right? So they made it so that depending on where you live, your house is either appreciating or you're not appreciating. You live in this area, your house is appreciating. You live in this area, you have a home, but your house is not appreciating. That is how the system set up. The rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. Also with inflation, it's harder to buy real estate, right? Also, but with inflation, the prices of everything is going up. The price of food is increasing. As you notice, when you go to the grocery store, maybe your food used to cost $100. Now your bill is $150. The price of gas is going up. All right, the rich getting richer, poor getting poorer. Also, lack of exposure. So you become what you can see, right? So our exposure used to be television and radio. So is the radio sharing financial information? No, the radio is not sharing financial information. So this is changing with the internet. Now we can see, now we have exposure. The internet, right? You can go as far you can see. Generally, people do what they see. So I see this person became a doctor. I see this person became a lawyer. But have you ever seen anyone become a multimillionaire? And they actually let you know that they're a multimillionaire, right? So you do what you see. Also, religion plays a role. Generally, in religion, you are taught that you have to choose between God or money. You cannot serve two masters, right? So if you think it's something wrong with pursuing money, more than likely you're not going to do it. So that is a factor. Rich is getting richer, poor is getting poorer. So that is where that sentence comes from. Rich is getting richer, poor is getting poor. Now, me personally, I do not buy into that. I believe that you get whatever you speak. And so I believe that the poor is getting richer. All right. So, but that's where that comes from. So, this is what you can do. But before I tell you what you can do, I would like to challenge this thought that the poor are poor because they're not financially educated. All right. So, It is not that they're not financially educated. It's because there are racist systems in place that have stripped them of their wealth. Okay? Now, I mentioned them earlier, so I'll say them again. 400 years of slavery, redlining, Jim Crow, discrimination in the housing market, none of this in the school system, intentionally, less access to funding, won't hire you, won't promote you, mass incarceration, rap music. Okay, you got it? You got it? Okay, good. So this is what you can do. You can buy assets. So what are assets? Assets are things that you buy that are going to create you wealth. So one example of an asset is real estate, but you have to pay attention on what area you buy this real estate in, because I told you some areas don't appreciate, other areas do appreciate. Don't you find that to be strange? It's not the same everywhere. Don't you find that to be strange? So you have to pay attention where you buy the rental property. Don't buy it over here where it's not appreciating. Buy it over here where it will appreciate. So that's one example of an asset, real estate. Another example of an asset is stocks, getting into the stock market. Another example of an asset is business, creating a business or multiple businesses. So those are examples of assets that will build your wealth. Okay, so what if you don't have the money? Then what? So you can partner with someone. Say we're talking about real estate. You can partner. You don't have the money, but he has the money. All right? You can partner. Now, the thing with that is, are they going to partner? Are you going to help anybody? Or are you just going to keep everything to yourself? Keep it a secret? Everything is a secret? Or are you going to start helping each other? That's the question. So, partnering, right? Because as of yet, people are working alone, trying to figure it out alone, right? Well, you have the money. So are you going to help anybody? That is my question. Partnering. Okay. Another thing you can do is keep going to banks until somebody says yes. So small local banks, not the big bank. You know, the big bank is saying no, right? Small local banks. Keep going until someone says yes, right? I interviewed someone who went to 19. So just because the first one says no, that doesn't mean that it's out of the question. So you keep going, one after the other. Keep going. Okay? That's something else you can do. What else can you do? You can do rental arbitrage. With rental arbitrage, you need the money for first month's rent and security deposit and furniture. So you could use a credit card for the furniture. So basically, in rental arbitrage, what you're doing is you're leasing out the place and then you're subletting it, and you are making the difference off of that money. All right? You can rental arbitrage. What else could you do? You could start out with a single family. Like single family homes are less expensive than going for a duplex, triplex, fourplex. Now, you know, starting with a fourplex is better, but a single is better than nothing, right? Better than doing nothing. So, starting out with a single family and midterm rentaling it, what is called midterm rental, right? So, what else could you do? You can invest for your kids. Investing, putting your money into the stock market for your kids so that your kids are not starting off at square one. You know, other people's kids are not starting off at square one. They're investing for their kids. So when you invest for your kids, the money is there and it's been there for 18 years, right? So you're at square one. Other person is investing for the kids. So you can invest for your kids in the stock market. Another thing you could do is buy a rental property for your kid, one rental property, hold it. Hold it for 18 years. So rental property, it generally appreciates like 7% a year. So say for example, you have a house, $186,000 house. So about 7 years, depending on what area you bought it in. Remember, I said you got to watch the area. There's a whole system here. Like we're going to let this area appreciate. This area, we're going to let it appreciate. But this area, no appreciation is happening over here, right? So you got to recognize that that's going on, right? So say you buy it over here in this area where it's appreciating 186,000, about 7 years, that property is going to be worth 308,000 just by sitting there appreciating. You could also increase the value by fixing it up, but just by sitting there, it's appreciating. Let it go another 7 years. That $308,000 house is going to be worth like 430,000. Let it sit another 7 years. That $430,000 house is going to be worth 552,000. So you have your 21-year-old. They have an asset worth $552,000 because you bought a rental property and you let it sit. Now they could let it sit till it gets to $1 million or whatever they decide. They could sell it, use that for college. They can keep it, let it grow to $1 million, and in the process, use that money for cash flow. All this time, it's still cash flowing. So using the money for cash flow. What else could you do? So when your kid is in college, instead of getting a dorm, you get a house. Your kid lives in that house. House hack that place, meaning that 3 other people live there and they're paying rent. So you're getting cash flow. And they're also paying off that property. They're paying the property off. And that property is appreciating. Right? So those are the things to do. Buy assets, again, real estate, stocks, business, invest for your kids so they're not starting off at square one. Other kids are not starting off at square one. Right? So if you like the channel, please hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell next to it so that you won't miss the episode. Also, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And on the way out, hit the like button. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your nights.